In the last stream, we were working on completing this chapter of the quest book. We set up our tier 5 altar, the maximum tier that you can get for a blood altar in this version of Minecraft, and we began work on the Project T Will Help Right section of the quest book. Now, in order to get the tier 5 blood altar, we did need the Hellforged blocks, which required that we go through to the Endless Realm. And what I've gone ahead and done between streams, as you can see here, is I've expanded the base out just a little bit to give us some more space, because previously we had a ton of random blocks just kind of placed down. We were really getting a bit cramped on space, and I wasn't really happy with the way things were going there. And we also had a giant floating portal to the Endless Realm. Now, since the end of the last stream, I have gone ahead and used the temp head to get rid of the portal. So just like we did with the Hidden Realm, we now have a temp pad location in the Endless Realm, and so if, for whatever reason, we need to go back at some point in the future, we can just use our temp pad to get there, and then, of course, our temp pad to get back. And as soon as I did that, I got rid of the portal itself, and so now there's just that floating tree from maybe like episode 2, and a lot of the other items are now up here. So I've moved our reactor upstairs and our machines that go with it. I've also moved our little section of power flowers up here, and I've moved the wall of blocks for our scythe up here as well, freeing up a bit of space on the lower platforms, but also making it a little bit darker down here. And so, real quick, the first thing that I would like to do in today's stream is I'd like to get a couple of these feral flare lanterns. These are very nifty in that, as the tooltip says here, these place down invisible lights. And so if we go ahead and EMC a couple of these, we can basically kind of hide these underneath our platform, and then they will place down invisible torches in a pretty large area around where they're placed. And so right now it's quite dark. As time goes by and as they begin to put down more and more invisible light spots, it will lighten up that whole area. In fact, I think if I were to do something like this, you'll see in real time all of the areas around it getting brighter. And so we can just place a couple of these down around the base, and that's just going to brighten things up a little bit, make it a little bit easier for us to see what we're doing. And that's going to free us up to work on completing this next section of the quest book. So we did start by getting an inscriber in the last episode, and we made one each of the calculation, engineering, and logic printed circuits. And today, the plan is going to be to kind of take that further and use those circuits to make the circuits here from FTB Industrial Contraptions. Chat is right here. I have made a little bit of a mistake. I want to get rid of this one. Having one here, the feral flare lantern here, that is going to lighten up the mob farm, and lightening up the mob farm is going to prevent mobs from spawning. One thing you can do is you can make this frozen pearl. It does require ice and an ender pearl. Ice we can get using our blast chiller. Do I have a single bucket? I do. I don't think we taught ice to our system. We did teach water though. Let me quickly check that ice wasn't taught. It wasn't, unfortunately. But what we can do is we can quickly throw this into the blast chiller, give it a quick tap to make it faster, take the ice, duplicate the ice infinitely, and then if we use that ice to make ourselves one of these frozen pearls, you can use the frozen pearl to put out all of the fake lights that the feral flare lanterns put down, and so you'll see that's now very dark, and the mobs are spawning again, and hopefully, if these lanterns here and here are far enough away, it's not far enough away because the mob farm did come back online right away, but now I think that's fine. We'll keep an eye on it. I don't know if there are any mob farm drops that we actually need at this point in time that don't have any MC value. If we come across one, we can always look at rectifying the situation, but for now, I think that's fine, and I think I'll take the trade-off of being able to see over the mob farm, especially given that eventually the mob farm is going to kind of clog things up in here for us anyway. So, back to the quest book. We need to make iridium circuits, advanced circuits, and electronic circuits in order to start getting some of the machines from FTB Industrial Contraptions. The two main machines that we're after are the reprocessor and the antimatter constructor, because they are going to allow us to get antimatter, and the antimatter is really what we need here to move forward. But to get there, we've got to go through a couple of other steps. So each one of these circuits, which I will bookmark, are made using this setup of create sequence crafting with deployers. And so my plan is to kind of repurpose this area down here to make this happen. So right now we've got two deployers here. I will go ahead and take that pyroot ingot off of that deployer. And did I teach deployers here? I didn't. However, I'm fairly certain the deployers do have an EMC value, and so it should be as simple as grabbing a few more of these, now that we can make a few thousand of them, and placing them down here kind of in place of our mechanical presses, because the most expensive circuit that we need to make is the iridium circuit, and this requires 5 deployers. However, we can use the same 5 deployer system to make the advanced circuits and to make the electronic circuits. And so let's do a quick rotate on this guy and this guy. Hopefully like that. Perfect. So they're all actually working. And then for the first circuit here, we need printed logic circuits along with LV cable and a fuse. So the LV cable is nice in that it does have an EMC value, and so we should be able to duplicate these once we have them. The less nice thing, though, is that it requires rubber, which we currently don't have. However, we can indeed just smelt slime balls into rubber, and then from there we can just EMC those rubber pieces as well. So let's do something like this, and once we've got a stack of rubber, we'll throw that in. Good stuff. And can we get LV cable? We can. Nice. We'll throw that back in as well. Perfect. So now that we have the LV cable, the next thing is the fuse. The fuse, thankfully, also pretty straightforward. It's glass and industrial grade metal. The industrial grade metal, as we saw before in the last episode, is just iron inside of the blood altar. And thankfully, it's very quick, to the point where I think if we kind of just do... Oh, you need an empty hand as always to actually get the item out. But if we do something like this and just kind of rapidly switch between these two hand states, we should be able to take these out quite fast. I'm not quite sure how many fuses we're going to need. You do get 24 per craft here, and it's only 3 plates per 24 fuses. So I think this should be enough to get us quite a lot of circuits today. We'll go for, I guess, 33. And then let's do something like this. Fantastic. Unfortunately, no EMC value on those, but that is all we need to make basic electronic circuits. And my thought process here is that we can move this. I don't think we need that currently. And we can also move this. I also don't think we need the roller currently either. But what we should be able to do here is throw down a chest at the end of the belt, because I'm fairly certain that with create, the way this should work is if an item goes to the end of the belt, it can go into that chest if we put a funnel down. And I think a funnel is going to be well worth investing in. For the funnel, we are going to need to get a dried kelp, which surprisingly we do not have. I assume we do have just a regular kelp lying around. We do indeed, and we should do 2 things here. One, we should teach our system kelp if it doesn't know it already, and we should also quickly smelt up a kelp in order to get us a dried kelp. Again, if we do a quick one of these, I guess it's the dried kelp nice and quickly. Boom, and boom. Nice. And so if I put the funnel down right about here, now I believe any item on the belt should make its way in. And so these are not being deployed upon, which is why they're not moving, but any item that gets past the end finger should be fine. Now, the fact that they're not working there could be problematic. The idea behind putting the chest here is that I'm hoping to use some item pipes to kind of loop the items back around automatically, because each and every one of these circuits does require, and speaking of item pipes, it looks like I've not EMC'd those just yet. Let me take all of the pipes and throw them all into here, so that going forward, if I type in pipe, we can get any of those at any point in time. But all of these require multiple laps. So for example, just the basic circuit here does require 6 repeats of the same craft in order to actually get the circuit. And so my thought process here is that if we were to put, for example, the fuses in the last deployer and the LV cable in the one before, what we should then be able to do is extract from this chest here and pump it back around into this belt. So if I do something like this and we disconnect basically everything apart from that last bit of pipe, what we should then be able to do is throw down, in this case, a basic circuit. Let me grab this printed logic circuit out of here, and we're going to put that down here. That is going to get printed twice, and then over on the end here, it's going to end up in the chest. We want to then extract from that chest to loop it back around. One thing we do want to do, though, is we do want to make sure that it's only the non-finished product that gets looped around, and so for that, we are going to have to make a advanced pipe upgrade. For that, we need to start with a basic pipe upgrade and then craft that up to an improved, and then craft that up to an advanced. At this point in time, that's not going to be very difficult for us to do. The basic pipe upgrade is just iron and redstone. We'll EMC it. The improved pipe upgrade is just redstone and gold on top of that, and then the third one is diamond and gold, and then the fourth one actually is just netherite and redstone, so we can even go as far as that highest tier 1, and they all have an EMC value, so they're all easy enough to get more of going forward. And now, if we set this to extract, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to set this to extract, and for now, I'm just going to leave that. For now, I'm going to put this in here, and we're going to extract that around. It should end up over there. It's going to get deployed twice. It's going to end up back in here. It's going to go again, and it's going to do it a few more times, and eventually we'll end up with a full circuit, and the full circuit will sit here, which of course is kind of not what we want. What we're going to do, though, is we're going to blacklist this item. Once we've got the actual circuit, in here we can change the filter mode from whitelist to blacklist, and we can add the electronic circuit and submit. And so now, every time we put down one of these printed logic circuits, we can just put them into the chest, actually. They'll get looped around and transformed into electric circuits. And all we need for these guys is just gold, right? We take the gold and we put it into our inscriber, which is now up around here, along with the logic press. Boom and boom. Again, unfortunately, these are not acceleratable with the temporal pouch or the watch of flowing time. And unfortunately, in this version of Minecraft, you can only put one item into the inscriber at any given time. So you have to kind of manually put one gold in over and over and over again. I say manually, you can automate this with the hopper, but I do think that one thing that we should do right away here is we should look at upgrading the inscriber using the acceleration cards that are over here, and we should also look at upgrading to the advanced inscriber. So we'll bookmark the advanced inscriber, and we'll also bookmark the acceleration cards here. So as for the advanced inscriber, it really doesn't look too bad. It's 4 iron, 2 hoppers, 1 regular inscriber, and then 2 engineering processors. We do have 1 printed engineering circuit right here, and if we were to grab another diamond real quick, we should be able to get a second one of those very quickly with this guy in here and you in here. And then from there, we just need to combine that printed engineering circuit with printed silicon and redstone dust. So printed silicon is something we've not yet made, and it does require a silicon press, which, much like the previous presses, is made with some Certus Quartz essence and a silicon. The silicon we can get either by smelting Certus Quartz dust. Oh, I thought it was going to be a second. Usually there's a different silicon you can use, but in this case, we get it by smelting Certus Quartz dust. Certus Quartz dust we can also get from Certus Quartz essence, and so we just need to get 11 more of the essence, which, just like last episode, is just Nether Quartz essence and a Skystone essence down in our biolab. And once we've got at least 11 Certus Quartz essence, we should then be able to get ourselves the 1 Certus Quartz dust, or I guess in this case 3, does have an EMC value. Let's make sure at least one of these goes in here, and then let's go and smelt the other one over here. Boom. And as soon as that's done, we should be good to go, actually. Let's make that a tiny bit faster. We'll take the silicon, also EMCable. Boom. And then let's quickly craft up the silicon press. Fantastic. And if we want to put that silicon press up into our inscriber over here with yet more of the silicon that we just EMC'd, we should be able to make the printed silicon, and then we can combine that, of course, as we saw before, with the redstone and the engineering circuit, and we should be good to go. So if we put in you, and you, that is going to get us our first engineering processor, and then we want to do that just a second time here, again with silicon and the silicon press, and then with redstone and the engineering circuit, and at that point, we should be able to upgrade to the advanced inscriber, which I'm hoping is going to be able to process more than one item at a time. I'm hopeful that we can input more than one item into each slot. Let's give it a go. Can I make this? I believe I can. I need to make a hopper, which I should definitely go ahead and EMC, so we can make more of those in the future. And then the inscriber I don't think has an EMC value. It doesn't, but we can go ahead and upgrade it, especially if we do this in the right interface, which is in here. Let's do this and this. Perfect. So there's a quest complete, and if we throw it down, in here now, I'm hopeful that, for example, if I put in silicon and the silicon press, like this and like this, I can put a full stack in. Can I make this faster using the temporal pouch? I cannot. So it does, like, you can make it faster, quote unquote, but it doesn't actually do anything, which is unfortunate. But you can put in up to 5 acceleration cards in here, which would be ideal. Now, the acceleration cards are a little bit expensive in that they require the Fluix crystals, which we were making last episode, and unfortunately don't have an EMC value, so we are going to have to keep going with this crafting recipe. Not that it's particularly expensive. They also do require these advanced cards here. These are also not too bad. They require diamonds, they require iron, redstone, and then a calculation processor, which is just the same thing we saw for the engineering processor, but this time with the calculation instead. And so I think what we should do then is we should get some Certus quartz. We should make, ideally, a couple of the calculation processors. Ideally, at least 5, so that we can make 5 of the advanced cards. Oh, never mind, we only need 3, because you get 2 at a time. 3 of the advanced cards, and then if we got 3 Fluix crystals, do we have any of those left? We do, we got 44, fantastic. Isaac of the Past doing some good work. We do already have all of the printed silicon, and so if we throw all of that in with the redstone, we should be pretty much good to go here in terms of making 5 acceleration cards, which should make this advanced inscriber substantially faster than it currently is. So boom, and there's 6 of those, and then from there, we just need to craft those in here to get 5 of these. Nice. And if we throw them in, that should now be tremendously faster. So let's go ahead and throw in the gold with the logic press. So this and this. And you'll see that is now substantially faster than it was just a moment ago. And now, of course, we can take all of the printed logic circuits here and we can turn them all into electronic circuits using this little setup that we have down here. You'll see we already have 3 electronic circuits and we can just leave all of those to do their thing. The Twitch chat does make a good point in that one slight problem that you can run into, first of all, is that you don't have enough fuses. You need quite a few fuses to make this happen. Thankfully, I believe we can get more of these. We totally can. Let's do this. The only thing we're really missing is glass, and so we should probably do the craft in our transmutation tablet so that we can get a bunch of these. And again, they don't really stack that nicely, but that's fine. Let's do this. And the only slight problem is that in here, each incomplete circuit does take up 1 inventory slot. And so if you try and do too many, you will run into problems, but so long as you're not trying to do more than like 27 at a time, at least not in a basic Minecraft chest, then everything should be fine. And so now our next task is going to be to kind of take that basic circuit that we have and upgrade it to the advanced circuit using the advanced circuit recipe. So the advanced circuits here are made in basically the exact same way, but just with different items. This time we need 2 fuses. We also need an advanced alloy and a printed engineering circuit. We only need to do it twice though, which is nice, not 6 times like the previous one. Now, before we do that, let's get the macerator and the compressor. Those are the first 2 machines that we need. The macerator here is pretty straightforward. The only thing we don't have is a machine block. The machine block is industrial grade metal with a fuse. That should be fine. Did we use up all of our industrial grade metal? We actually might have done, just making a ton of fuses. Never mind, they are in here. Can I make this? I cannot, because we do need more fuses. Okay, so if we make more fuses like this, we can then take our remaining industrial grade metal and then back over in here, we can use that to make at least, hopefully, I was going to say at least hopefully 2 of these. We can't quite make 2, we don't have enough. That is fine though, we can quickly grab a few more using our blood altar, and we only need 3 more here to make this work. Fantastic. That should be everything for a second machine block. The reason I want 2 is that, of course, we need 1 here for the macerator, which of all things is missing a single cobblestone, which thankfully we can steal from here, even though we can also EMC it. Boom and boom. And then as for the compressor, that's where we need the other machine block. This guy requires some andesite, and it requires a basic circuit, which of course we have in somewhat abundance over here. Nice. And so that should be our compressor taken care of. So I believe the problem that we run into with these machines is that they don't accept the same kind of power that you can use for every other machine. So if I put the macerator down over here, I don't think it's going to work. So we need to get something like a generator from FTB Industrial Contraptions in order to make this work. For the generator, we need an iron furnace, which is actually easy enough. It does require a regular furnace, which I believe we have EMC'd in our transmutation tablet. Can I do this? I totally can, and also do that as well. And then from there, we need an LV battery. The LV battery just requires some tin ingots. Tin we definitely have. I've probably just not EMC'd it yet. I have not. That is completely fine. Let's try that again for the LV battery, which also has an EMC. And then from there, we need, once again, 3 more of the industrial grade metal in order to finish this up, which again is just 3 iron ingots. Back over here, let's do 1 and 2, and you guessed it, 3. Perfect. So that should be everything for the basic generator. It is indeed. And then over here, we can probably just put this down next to the macerator. I have a feeling I want to press F3B to show me the boundaries here, because I think I want to put the generator inside of the area covered by the Watch of Flowing Time here. And then I believe that we want to use some of those cables that we made previously, which we do have now EMC'd over in here, to actually move that power over. So this LV cable should be perfect. And if we do this, we should be able to extract power out of there. Now, I have a sneaking suspicion that if I try and break this with my pickaxe, that it might just break entirely. Let me quickly try breaking it with a wrench. That doesn't work. I feel like if I break it like this... Oh no, I do get a macerator back. Okay, cool. This is a recreation of Industrial Craft 2, or like it's inspired by Industrial Craft 2. And Industrial Craft 2, it used to be that if you broke a machine with a pickaxe, you wouldn't get the machine back. Either way, if we go ahead and grab some fuel, we should be able to throw that fuel into here to start generating power. And then over here, we can use that power. And of course, because this is accelerated by the Watch of Flowing Time, it should be making that power faster. Cool. So the reason we need the macerator is to get the carbon plate here. The carbon plate is made by compressing a carbon fiber mesh. The carbon fiber mesh is made from 4 carbon fibers, and the carbon fibers are made from coal dust, which you can get by macerating coal. So real quick, I did notice that coal is actually not something I've taught to my transmutation tablet yet. That's fine. Let's do one of these to macerate that coal, hopefully fairly quickly. And I probably should have put the macerator. Oh, the macerator is inside the range. Okay, it's just not inside both of them. That's actually, I think, maybe perfect. That gets us coal dust. We can then craft that coal dust into the carbon fibers. And once we have 4 carbon fibers, we can do something like this to get the carbon fiber mesh. And then we can compress that using our compressor here, like so, to get ourselves the carbon plate. Nice. The carbon plate is used in the making of the advanced machine block. We are going to need 2 of those. And it's also used in the making of the infinity pipe upgrade, which is essentially the next tier up from our current pipe upgrade. But that I don't think we currently need. So we'll come back to that one. As for the reprocessor, this here requires a compressor. So we might have to make another compressor for that. It also needs some industrial grade metal and some unobtainium dust. The unobtainium dust we can get from macerating unobtainium, which actually we should have. Nice. It's very much so obtainium for us. And so let's do this. Let's put you away for now. That doesn't have an EMC value. A lot of the stuff from this mod doesn't, unfortunately, but we'll throw you away. And then let's go quickly grab another one of the circuits over here and see. Actually, we'll grab all the circuits, I guess. They also don't have an EMC value. Can we get another compressor? I believe we should be able to. That's going to need another machine block, which means, of course, that we need to get a bunch more of these plates. And a quick stack of industrial grade metal later. Let's try this again. Can I make a machine block? We totally can. And can we make another compressor? We can. From there, we are looking to make the reprocessor, right? This guy right here. And I think that we now have exactly what it takes to make it. Nice. And so let's go ahead and, for now at least, throw you down right about here. So the reprocessor is interesting. And it's also kind of key for what we're going to be doing today, because the reprocessor takes anything, I believe, basically any item at all, and allows us to turn it into scrap. So if I put, for example, some cobblestone in here, that cobblestone is going to get turned into scrap. And then we can use that to make a scrap box, and that scrap box leads us over to the draconium ingots here. The reason for that is that we need to use draconium dust with the scrap box to get our first draconium ingot, and that draconium ingot can then be EMC'd to get more of them going forward. So that is how we're going to do that, and it looks like you're not guaranteed to get the scrap, unfortunately, but I do assume that we could also potentially do this to make it a little bit faster. We could also even, put down more watches of flowing time to make things quicker as well. I think we just need 9 of these in total. So the other reason this is useful is that up here, we can feed scrap to the antimatter constructor to speed up the rate at which we get antimatter. So we are going to probably want to automate the production of the scrap at some point in the not-so-distant future. For now, though, we want to do something like this to get the scrap box. And then in terms of getting the draconium dust, this one is a little trickier. We need 8 draconium essence. We'll bookmark that. And for the 8 draconium essence, we need to get this 8 times. So surprisingly, I think the easiest part is actually going to be to get 8 insanium essence. The insanium essence we get in the exact same way we saw previously. We just take 8 regular inferium essence, and then we can run that up through the chain using our blood altar here. So long as we have our knife, which we do, we can continue to give blood using the knife. And so long as we are getting our refill fast enough from the bloodstones, which we might not be actually. It takes a lot of LP, and it looks like it's very quick. I don't want to click too fast, because if I click too fast, then we might die. Ooh, we might actually have to look Oh no, it worked. Okay, cool. That did work. That was horrible, but it did work. That's crazy. It takes how much? 100,000 life points. That's not the problem. The problem is it does it very, very, very quickly. And so while that did work, I think what we should do in the interest of sanity is look at getting some more capacity runes. Now, up until now, we have been using the runes of capacity. However, I think we are now at the point where the runes of augmented capacity are a better choice. If we get the Sanguine Sentium out of our system here, and we type in capacity, the difference here is that the rune of capacity increases the Blood Altar's capacity additively by 20% per rune, and the augmented capacity adds multiplicatively. So you'll see here it says it increases it by 7.5% per rune, which looks like less, but it's multiplicative and it's done after the regular capacity runes. And so essentially, I believe the idea is that the initial Blood Altar can hold 10,000 life points. And so each rune of augmented capacity adds 2,000 life points to the capacity. And once you get to a certain number, 7.5% of your total capacity becomes more than 20% of the baseline capacity. I'm being told that 15 runes is the tipping point, because every rune that you add of the rune of capacity only gives you 2,000 millibuckets, right? Whereas at a certain point, right now we have, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We've got 16 of these runes of capacity. And so we've got 2,000 multiplied by 16, 32,000, plus the initial 10,000 takes us to 42,000. That's the current capacity of our Blood Altar. If we were to check it with our divination sigil, that's what it tells us. And so now with the 42,000, if we multiply that by 0.075 to find out 7.5%, that would get us 3,150. So now each rune of augmented capacity we add will give us more than adding a rune of capacity would. However, if you were to just start with the runes of augmented capacity, you wouldn't get as much of an increase, because 7.5% of 10,000 is of course less than 20%. Hopefully that made sense. Either way, the main takeaway is that once you've got like 15 runes of capacity down, after that, if you want more capacity, it is better. You get more capacity if you use the rune of augmented capacity as opposed to the regular rune of capacity. And so, real quick, let's go ahead and see if we can't make some more regular runes of capacity, which we've made a bunch of times before, just more blank slates and imbued slates, and then we can upgrade those to the runes of augmented capacity with obsidian, buckets, and demonic slates. Okay, so 12 blank slates, 12 imbued slates, and 12 demonic slates later, I think we now have everything it takes to make 12 blank runes, ideally. We do. And then from there, we can hopefully upgrade those to 12 runes of capacity. That might be better done in our arcane tablet here, because we should have buckets taught. We do. Nice. And then from there, we should also have everything it takes to upgrade those, so long as we have the right blood orb, directly into the augmented sacrifice runes. And if my calculations are correct, these 12 runes should take us to over 100,000 life points, which kind of goes to show the benefit of these, because if we were to just have stuck with 12 of the original capacity runes, 12 multiplied by 2,000 is of course 24,000, which added to the initial 42,000 that we currently have would have taken us to 66,000, not 100,000. And so as you get more and more of these augmented capacity runes, and as the number gets higher and higher, you kind of run away with it, and the exponential nature of it becomes more apparent. So let's go ahead and put at least 3 of these into each side. And you know what, I'll put them right at the end like this as well. We'll do this, and we'll put them in the center to try and keep some semblance of symmetry. Of course, we do have a ton of space now, so we could put even more runes in. I think speed runes could be quite useful as well, especially for some of those larger crafts, like making a lot of the demonic slates. Does still take a little bit of time, and we definitely have more than enough life points being pumped in now to where it's completely fine for us to speed things up a little bit. Either way, let's have a look. Do we have our divination sigil? We do indeed, and if we check, we have now got just over 100,000 life points worth of capacity, and so now we can do some quick deposits here to hopefully get us up to close to 100,000, and then at that point, it should be a lot easier for us to transform the Inferium Essence into Insanium Essence, which is what we're after. And we are after exactly 8 Insanium Essence. So we've got 1 over here. Let's go ahead and do 1 more deposit there to take us up to almost 100,000. And now if we put this in, it should hopefully very quickly transform into, there we go, Insanium. Nice. The trouble is that once it, if it ever gets to the point where it's empty, you actually start going backwards in terms of the craft, and so you do have to kind of go even harder and even more aggressively to keep up with it. And so we really want to make sure that once it gets to Like, maybe we should have made one more rune. It would have been awkward because that wouldn't have been symmetrical, and I do like the symmetry, but we really want to make sure that as soon as it turns into Supremium, that we have 100,000 life points in here so that it can turn into Insanium nice and quickly. Because if we have enough essence in there, it should turn into Insanium pretty quickly. It still took a little while there. It does say 100,000, right? It does say 100,000. And it looked like we had 100,000 then, so I'm not quite sure. Either way, this, and I shouldn't do it this way, I should, of course, fill it first. Either way, though, this is working, and so let me real quick just go ahead and get all of the rest of the Insanium Essence for the Draconium Ingot. The Twitch chat does make a good point here, actually, though, that at this point in time, it is taking us quite a lot of dagger uses to fill this up. We could look, once again, at upgrading our Tranquility Altar, because now that we have the final tier of Blood Orb, that being this guy right here, the Archmage's Blood Orb, we are now able to make the Obsidian Path. We type in path, it's probably easier to get to the recipe. And so over here, let's do something like this, and let's make some Obsidian Path that we can then add to the outside edge here. So we've already got the 2-1 stone. I believe all we need to do is add 2 Obsidian Path to the outside edge of all of this here, and that should increase. Let's make sure we do it right over here. We're going to get rid of these 2 here and replace those with Obsidian Path, but that should increase the maximum bonus of our Tranquility Altar from 200% to 300%, I believe. So we're at 195 currently, which may be due to some theft that has been undertaken by these Endermen here. We now have substantially fewer bits of dirt down than we did previously. That is fine. Let me quickly fix up the pre-existing holes that we have here, and then let's see about expanding out the current setup to hopefully get us a more tranquil altar. Okay, so just repairing the holes in our previous altar. We're now up at 202, so we have broken that 200% barrier that we were at before. And now that we have access to Project E and the ability to transmute our items, it should be much easier now for us to get, for example, a bunch of netherrack and nether wart that we could then use to kind of fill in these outside layers. I'm pretty sure that both of these are good at amplifying our life point setup. So if I check up here, has that taken us up above 202? It has. We're at 224. Okay, cool. So we'll go ahead and expand this out. We'll fill this in with netherrack and soul sand and see how much of a buff that gets us. Okay, so with all of the netherrack down here and the soul sand and 2 levels of grass, I actually completely forgot that we had the grass from earlier in the playthrough, and it does have an EMC value, and it does helpfully benefit the incense altar here. We're now at 274%, up from just under 200 previously, and so we're close to 300%. I believe that we're not getting the full effect from our nether wart here, simply due to the fact that it's not fully grown, and it's possible that the sigil of the green grove might help here, although it doesn't really seem to be. People are also saying that there's some kind of growth item from Project E. There's the Harvest Goddess Band. Accelerate growth of nearby crops. Harvest nearby crops. Accelerates every 0.5 seconds. Is this makeable for us? It does require 2 dark matter and an iron band. I think that's actually fine, though. We're doing pretty well on EMC these days. We're at 2.24 G, which is 2.24 billion EMC. The iron band is actually very easy. We'll go ahead and EMC that. And then we just need like 4 saplings, which we should definitely have. Nice. Let's put those in here. Let's try that one more time. Fantastic. And so can I activate this on my own? Oh, look at that. That works very well. So just having this in our inventory is accelerating the growth of basically all of the crops around here. And if we put this away and this away, let's go check. Is that increasing the tranquility? No, it's decreasing the tranquility. How have I managed to decrease tranquility by increasing the growth of these guys? That is interesting. Yeah, people are right that that fire does also count here, and so although I don't know if it's gonna look any good, setting this on fire here is gonna bring us up 269. I don't know how we lost 5% tranquility there. That's interesting. If I break one of these, no, that takes us down even further. Okay, yeah, I'm not at all certain how we managed to lose that. But either way, let me quickly light some fire. That takes us back to 273. And then if we wanted to, we could also get a bit of variety by doing something like this. I think soul fire does count separately. And again, variety is really the key here for maximizing our tranquility number. So let's see. How's that doing? We're at 274. The Twitch chat has pointed out that we do have seagrass now in our water. I do wonder if that's causing the issue. If I get rid of the seagrass, does that increase our tranquility? I think it does. Okay, so let me put the pedestal away. Let me put the ring away, sorry. Not put it on a pedestal. I think the fact that there's seagrass here is actually causing issues, and I think the ring caused the seagrass to grow. And so if we go ahead and just get rid of all of the seagrass, no more should grow without the ring present. And I'm hopeful that then is going to put us up to 300. 297 is very close. We're very, very close to it. I do think we could potentially eke out just a little bit more. Let me get some more leaves, maybe. We've only put a few of those down. And then if I kind of put these around the outside edge here, again, trying to maintain symmetry wherever possible, I am pretty hopeful that might get us over the edge to 300. Nice. Okay, 300%. Perfect. Okay, so now back up here, we should get even more every time we use our dagger. And now let me continue with our Inferium Essence until we have 8 Insanium for the Draconium. And there we go. We got 8 Insanium Essence. Nice. As I mentioned, that's probably the easiest bit, because now, in order to get 8 Draconium Essence, we need to get 8 lots of the rest of this recipe, right? So we need a ton of Manulin Essence, and we need a ton of Star Metal Essence. So the Star Metal Essence is thankfully very easy. It's Skystone Essence and Iron Essence. And so for that, it should really just be a case of taking our Scythe here, and then over on the Iron block, just right-clicking a bunch to get the Iron Essence, and then as far as the Skystone Essence, we just right-click on the Skystone, right? And so that should be fine. It's going to take a little while just to kind of get all of the essences, and then we have to put them all, of course, into our biolab over here. So Iron Essence and Skystone Essence, not Iron Essence and Nether Quartz Essence. That's not the right setup. And of course, we can accelerate that with the Temporal Pouch to make it faster, which is good. And yeah, we're going to need a lot of that. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 by 7s. That's 49 minus 1 is 48. 48 multiplied by 8. We're going to need a fair bit of that essence, and it's all done over inside the Extreme Crafting table here. On top of that, like we said, we need the Manulin as well. The Manulin's a little bit more tricky, and it's a bit more of a pain in the backside. For the Manulin, we need 9, 18. 18 plus 16, I think is correct there, which takes us to 34. So I think we need 34 Manulin Essence per Draconium, and again, we need 8 in total. So we need about 300, I think 272 Manulin Essence in order to get the 8 Draconium. And so for the Manulin here, we have to combine Cobalt and Netherite. Netherite, again, super easy. We have that here. We can just right-click a bunch, and so getting the Netherite not going to be a problem. As far as the Cobalt, though, that one I think we have to get with Mana Steel and Netherite. Again, Netherite, completely fine. Mana Steel, though, requires Iron. Again, completely fine. And Mineral, and then Mineral is Nature and Lapis, which I think are both acquirable, right? Lapis, actually, I don't think we've done. Is Lapis just Lapis blocks, would be my assumption. It is. Cool. So let's get a block of Lapis down onto the wall here. And then as far as Nature Essence is concerned, was Nature Essence one of the runes? No. Wishful thinking. Nature Essence. What do we right-click for this? We right-click on a grass block. Okay, cool. That is actually completely fine. We'll throw it there. So it's all doable. We just need to spend a fair bit of time using our Scythe, and then we need to spend a fair bit of time using the biolab as well. And so I think what I might do, just to make my life a little easier here, is kind of steal this biolab temporarily and move it up to the wall of essence creation so that we don't have to keep running back and forth to do all this crafting. For now, I'll go ahead and place this down here, put in the nutrient bars, and let's see if we can't get 300 Manulin Essence and even more Star Metal Essence. All right, and a bunch of biolabbing later, I think we have enough essence here. The Manulin actually wasn't too bad, simply due to the fact that when you combine the essences together, you get 2 essence out. And so we needed about 300 Manulin Essence. The Netherite is, of course, easy to get, which get it from the block, but that means that we actually only needed to get 150 Cobalt Essence. Again, Netherite's easy to get, so we only needed 75 Mana Steel Essence, and then Iron's easy to get. We only needed half of 75, like 37.5 Mineral Essence, and then we only needed half of that for each of these as well. So we actually needed about 20 Nature and 20 Lapis Essence in total to get us all the way up to the 300 Manulin, because it doubles each time on the way up, which is nice. Back over here, though, do we have what it takes? I think the answer is yes. Let me get the Insanium out, and then in here, let's move this in. Boom, and boom. There we go. Okay, that is 6. Hold on. That 8. Okay, cool. All right. At no point did I see 8 in there, but I have 8 in my inventory. And so now if I do this, we can get the draconium dust. If we grab that scrap box from earlier, we should now finally be able to put this up in here and then deploy it down onto the scrap box to get our draconium ingot, which we can, of course, then finally go ahead and throw into the tablet in order to get as much draconium as we like, so long as we don't want more than 4,600 because the draconium is surprisingly expensive. And so now that we have the draconium ingots, we do have the ability to move on into some infusion crafting from Draconic Evolution. We can make things like the draconium cores, and it also looks like we can go to the end as well using these wyvern cores to make end portal, which is almost certainly going to be needed at some point for the dragon hearts and the awakened draconium and then the chaos shards and whatnot. But for the remainder of today's episode, I kind of want to pivot back over this way and return to these circuits. So the advanced circuits, these ones right here, are not really used for anything that we need. So for us, we only need to use the advanced circuits as a way of getting iridium circuits. And in terms of getting the antimatter constructor, we need 2 plus 2. I think we only need 4 iridium circuits. We could also get one for making the infinity pipe upgrade, but that's not strictly necessary currently. So I think we only need 4 of these, which is thankfully going to be much easier than getting as many as we did with the electronic circuits. And so if we want 4 of these, that means we need 8 of each of these items. So we need 8 lots of fuses twice, so 16 fuses, 8 printed engineering circuits, and 8 advanced alloy. So the fuses are, of course, the easiest bit. In fact, we have 16 fuses. The advanced alloy is made by smelting mixed metal blend, which is iron dust, constantan dust, and aluminum dust. There's actually a couple of different recipes here by the looks of it. I think we do have to do it with the dust, unfortunately, and I don't think we have any of the dust, which is another unfortunate situation. Thankfully, though, we do have our pulverizer, and we do now have our macerator, which might be useful as well, actually, in some of these scenarios. And so if we get some of these going, we should be good to go. Do we have any electrum? We do. That's actually very helpful. Do we have any bronze? We do have even more bronze. That's even more helpful, because I'm just trying to decide which one of these recipes I want to go with. I think I'll go with the bronze one. So we need aluminum, iron, and bronze. Do we have aluminum? We don't. Is aluminum one of those things that we were getting over here? I don't think it is, right? Aluminum is required for all... Oh, no, tin also works by the looks of it. In that case, tin, we definitely have. Let me grab some tin out of here. Perfect. If I pulverize this, does it have an EMC value is my first question. It doesn't. That's unfortunate. Let's make that faster. Let's do the same with bronze here. I do want to make sure that bronze is taut. I think it might be, but just in case it's not, let's do that. Perfect. And then let's put you in there to make that a little bit faster as well. And then the last one was just iron, which is completely fine. We have a ton of iron. The pulverizer is a little slow here. That's because it's limited on how fast the power can go in. But that should be everything for some mixed metal blend. Oh no, I needed, oh no, yeah, bronze is right, like this, perfect. And then we can, of course, smelt that into the required ingots. And then from there, it should just be a case of getting the printed engineering circuits. Again, we just need 8 of them. And again, now, that's just 8 diamonds out of here. I'm going to take a full stack just because we can, and we'll throw it into our advanced inscriber, like so. And of course, let's make sure we do that with the engineering press. I say like so, but I don't have the required items. Boom and boom. There we go. That should get us the 8 required very quickly, and more are still coming in as we speak, which is good. And yeah, at that point, I think we have basically everything that we need. We do need just 8 of the blend, actually. And so if we go and throw that into our furnace here, give that a quick tap, that should get us all the blend that we're after. And it's just a case of putting those onto the line. And what I'll do here, at some point in the future, we are going to have to look, I think, at upgrading this to be fully automated, because by the sounds of it, we need a lot of circuits before we can complete the pack. But for the time being, that isn't the case. And so instead of having the item go in here, because the next pipe upgrade requires 4 items, what I'm going to do, I'm going to move this down by 2, and then I'm just going to disconnect here and here. And so now all of the circuits that we pull out that are not finished are going to go back around to here, because we want to take our fuses and put those in the last 2 slots, here and here. We want to take our printed engineering circuits, put those down here, and we want to take our advanced alloy ingots, and we're going to put those in right about here. And from there, if we just take 4 of these electronic circuits and we throw them down on here, that should begin to deploy those, and slowly but surely upgrade them until they hit advanced circuit status. They're going to get looped around over and over and over again, much like last time. They're going to keep getting looped around like this. We just want to make sure that eventually we add these to the blacklist, like so, and that should stop them being pulled out. And look at that, we have 4 advanced circuits. Nice, that was easy enough. And so now we have to upgrade those to the iridium circuits to get the 4 iridium circuits. For that, we need, again, 8 fuses at the end. That's actually fine. Let's get the fuses in first, like that. On top of the fuses, we need 8 printed circuits. We need 8 graphene, 8 iridium plates, and 8 carbon plates. The carbon plates we saw a second ago, they're made from the coal in the macerator. That should be fine. So right now we've got 1 printed calculation circuit. Let me grab the calculation press, and let's grab some Certus quartz, and we'll throw all of that, of course, back up into the inscriber. Let's take out all of our engineering presses. We'll go boom and boom. Fantastic. While we wait for that, iridium ingots are something that I don't think we have just yet. And I guess we get it from iridium dust? We don't. How in the world do I get iridium plates if we don't have iridium ingots? Oh, we can make the iridium chunks from iridium essence. Of course we can. And iridium essence is slime steel, titanium, platinum, and zinc. Do we have, I assume we don't have those just on hand. We don't. We're missing platinum and we're missing slime steel. Slime steel is steel and slime. Who would have guessed? And platinum is mithril and osmium. I think we've made all those before, so that actually shouldn't be too bad. We'll come back to that in just a second. The graphene here is obsidian with 8 compressed coal balls, and the compressed coal balls are just a coal ball in the compressor. The coal balls are coal and flint. Okay, so let's do coal ball. That's got an EMC value, which is nice, so we'll do one of these. And then let's grab 8 coal balls, and let's put those into the compressor over here. Boom. That should get us 8 compressed coal balls, which we can then use to make the graphene. We need 8 of these, so we do need a stack of coal balls, actually. So this is kind of perfect. Over here, this is done. Fantastic. Let's take those out, and let's put those at the start of the line. So this is going all the way on slot number 1. And so, yeah, I think it's actually completely fine, chat. I think all we need to do now is make more carbon plates, which we made before. These are just coal through the macerator and then crafted and compressed. Not going to be a problem. We need 8 of those. We need 8 graphene, which is on its way. We're just going to take the coal balls out of here, and then we're just going to craft those around some obsidian, like that. Again, we need 8 of those. That's not going to be a problem. Those are being made in here. And then other than that, it's just a case of, once again, getting more essence so that we can make 8 iridium to make 8 plates. The iridium plates do have to be made in the roller. And so for that, we are going to have to make another machine block, which I think is going to be fine. It is. We just need a fuse, and all of our fuses are currently over here. We do have excess though, right? Yeah, that's 35. Again, we only need 8 of those in total. So let's get another machine block. Perfect. And then let's upgrade that with 2 aluminum gears. Again, if it needs to be specifically aluminum gears, that could be a problem, because we do not have any aluminum. Although I assume that we can make it. My guess would be that there is some aluminum essence that we can make. There is. Aluminum essence is deep slate and brass, which is interesting. Deep slate, I think we have EMC'd. We don't. That's unfortunate. In that case, I would assume then that deep slate essence is creatable in the biolamp. It's not. We use it on deep slate. Okay, how in the world do we get deep slate? It is deep slate essence and coal essence. Is deep slate essence acquirable in some other way? Yes, we can use stone bricks and coal essence. Okay, stone bricks we have, and coal essence I'm also fairly certain that we have. We do. Lovely. So let's put you back. We also don't need the flint steel. Let's do, I guess, this and this. Fantastic. Let's teach that so we can make it in the future. And then let's just smelt this up into regular deep slate. That's going to get us the deep slate essence. And then as far as the brass essence is concerned, brass we have. Can I get brass essence from clicking on a brass block? I cannot. That would be far too easy, although you can get it in the blood altar, which is interesting. This was one of the first recipes at the start of the pack, now that I think about it. This should be fine, though, actually. This does not look too difficult. Let's go and add deep slate to the wall up here. Boom, and boom. Perfect. Okay, that's actually not bad at all, and should be okay. All right, let me, in that case, hold off on the roller. Let me go do a bunch of essence crafting to make this raw iridium. All right, so a little bit of biolabbing later. I think we are good to go on iridium essence. What am I missing here? I'm missing titanium. Oh, we did have titanium. In fact, there might be some on the floor here. But we did also just use titanium for other crafts. It was required to make the platinum. And so if we want more titanium, it's a bit of a pain. It is tungsten and steel. So steel, we did just have until I used it. Tungsten, we also do have. Okay, we might just be able to eke this out. So tungsten plus steel. And then the steel was compressed iron and creeper. So if I do this, that gets us the compressed iron. The compressed iron goes in along with the creeper essence, I believe. Oh, that's zinc. Let me do compressed iron. There we go. That gets us steel. Steel plus tungsten gets us the titanium. And that titanium should be enough to get us 2 batches of iridium. It is, thankfully. And then we can use that to make the iridium chunks. And thankfully, the iridium chunks do have an EMC value, so we can throw those into the tablet. And then from there, we need to macerate the chunks over here to get the dust. And then bizarrely, we have to take the iridium dust down to our alchemical reaction chamber, swap out the cutting fluid for the sanguine reverter that we made 1 billion years ago, and then put the iridium in there, and then that's how that's going to work. Interesting. A bit of a pain, especially given that I think we are going to need a lot of these iridium circuits later on in the playthrough, but for now, it's thankfully not too difficult. We can again just take 4 more of those, the rest can go back in here for now, and those extra 4 should be everything that we need in terms of getting 8 iridium ingots. And again, not too long later, we have aluminum essence with brass and deep slate. The brass, again, I just made with the blood altar, and the iron nuggets here. And aluminum, thankfully, has an EMC value, so we can throw it in here. And of course, we can also use it, again in here, to make those aluminum gears. We want 2 of these, and those aluminum gears are going to be used to make the rolling machine, this guy right here. What are we missing? We're missing 2 regular Minecraft pistons. That's not a problem. Ideally, can I do this in here? I think I'm missing a circuit, right? Yeah, and a few other things. So let's grab the circuit. Let's grab the machine frame. Let's put basically all the rest of the circuits back so our inventory doesn't get too clogged. And I was under the impression that pistons were something we taught to our table at some point, but I guess that is not the case. And by the looks of it, we don't have all the stuff we need. That's fine. Let's do this and this. Perfect. Okay. So back over here, let's add yet another machine to this 1 wire. The generator must be out of coal, actually. It is indeed. That's fine. We do have 8 carbon plates. I made those as well. And over here, what we can hopefully now do is we can take the iridium ingots out of here. And then from there, we want to just run those, I believe, straight through the roller. We do. So I'll put those in like so. Those are going to roll into iridium plates. Let me check the recipe here. So we want the carbon plates on the 2nd spot. So right here. And then we've also gone ahead and made the graphene. That's going to go on this spot, number 4. And then finally, we have our 8 iridium plates. Those are going to go onto spot number 3, if I am not mistaken. Nice. And so now, finally, we can do the same thing. Once again here, we can add down 1 more pipe. We can disconnect here. We can throw down our advanced circuits. And those are going to be slowly but surely cycled around twice to hopefully get us the 4 iridium circuits that we need. Let's take you, just for future reference. Let's also go ahead and add that to the blacklist. And if we take those out, that should be 4 iridium circuits. It is. Nice. And so, next time, chat, we can come back and we can use these iridium circuits to craft up the matter condenser here and to craft up the antimatter constructor. We are going to need more iridium plates for both of those and some advanced machine casings, which don't seem too bad for the most part. It's all stuff that we've kind of made before. We do have to go through and make some of these spatial components to make the matter condenser, which has had its recipe tweaked. It usually doesn't require a 128 cubed spatial storage cell, but for the most part, it's not a terrible craft. We just need a bunch of these Fluix pearls, which is just more of the Fluix crystals, which are easy enough for us to make. And yeah, that's going to allow us to make some antimatter. We'll look at automating the antimatter using the scrap as well, making that faster, and of course providing it with 8,192 power units, which is potentially going to be the hardest part. Once we have the antimatter, though, we are kind of ready to progress forward a bit further with Draconic Evolution, we can set up the fusion crafting, and we can look at kind of just moving on to this Infinity Ingot. We can look at kind of figuring out what it is that we need to make to get this Infinity Ingot going, what we need to set up, what kind of resources we need. We can also look, I think, potentially at the start of the next episode, at massively increasing our Power Flower situation. Right now, we've got 3 Magenta Power Flowers. We've got 2.7 billion EMC, but I have a feeling that we're going to need a ton more to make it to the end pack, and so we could definitely do with upgrading these to higher tiers, putting more of them down, putting down more Watches of Flowing Time, if necessary, to speed those up even further. But those are all problems for future Isaac. For now, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this episode of Project Sacrifice there.